What are we gonna do tonight, OC?
Well, the same thing we try to do every night, Bertram. Take over the world. I mean, YouTube. Take over YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, joined once again by my faithful manservant / buck totem Bertram. Say hello, Bertram.
Hello, Bertram.
And this is my review for Resident Evil Village. So, my friends, Resident Evil Village was released yesterday for consoles and PC, and is the 8th main installment in Capcom's Resident Evil franchise. Now, before we begin, let me just say that yes, Resident Evil Village does share a lot of similarities with Resident Evil 4. So there, I've admitted it. So that means I don't need to mention it again in this video.
Not even once.
If I do, Bertram, I give you full permission to pull down my underpants and braid my pubic hair.
I'll hold you to that.
I'm sure you will, Bertram. So, story. Ethan Winters, the damp squid we played in Resident Evil 7, is back. And this time, he must travel to Transylvania. I mean, Eastern Europe, to rescue his daughter Rose, or, as I like to call her, the ugliest child conceived since Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger had a one-night stand. Yes, didn't you know that Freddy Krueger was actually a woman? Well, you do now. So, after the opening, that is more shocking than giving Electro a hand job, Ethan finds himself in the sinister village from the title. And let me just say that this village is more decrepit than my grandmother's vagina, and has more secrets than bloody MI6. This, dear viewer, is Resident Evil if it was made by the Hammer House of Horror. Werewolves, vampires, beautiful woman with heaving bosoms and blood. A lot of blood. A shitload of blood. In fact, I haven't seen this much blood since Johnny Depp got eaten by his bloody bet. And if you get that reference, dear viewer, give yourself a nice pat on the back. Gameplay. Like all previous Resident Evil games, you are going to be spending most of your time exploring, solving simple puzzles, fighting monsters, and looking for health when poor Ethan suffers a boo-boo. Speaking of boo-boos, I think it's rather fortunate that Ethan didn't dream of becoming an artist in his youth, because his hands suffer more abuse in this game than a porn star in a film version of 120 Days of Sodom. In Resident Evil 7, one of them gets chopped off. But here, in Resident Evil Village, he loses fingers, gets hooks impaled into them, and is even hoisted up on them. You know, I'm surprised the poor man can write his bloody name, never mind wield weapons. Now, Village has a very similar structure to Resident Evil 7, but as opposed to taking down each member of the Baker family, this time you are taking down the 4 leaders of this, group? Cult? Gathering? No, let's go with cult. So, the first leader you face is the only vampire tall enough to reach the pornographic magazines in the corner shop, Lady Dimitrescu, a woman that I have fallen madly in love with, and because of that, I will now recite a poem I composed in her honor. Lady Dimitrescu, with the marvelous breasts, how I long to shag you where you rest. I will spill my milk upon your chest. As a lover, you're the best. It's not Shakespeare, I admit, but I think it sums up my feelings quite nicely.
That was, most, romantic, sir.
Ah, thank you, Bertram. I agree. I agree. Now, I've seen some people complaining that Lady Dimitrescu isn't in the game enough. But for me, dear viewer, she was in the game just the right amount of time for me to masturbate. I mean, enjoy her presence. 3 or 4 times, in fact. Moving on. How could I talk about Resident Evil without talking about the fear factor? You know, I have saw some lesser YouTubers state that Capcom made this game less scary than its predecessor. But I must protest.
Overruled.
What are you doing?
I thought you were role-playing a liar.
If I was my absent-minded manservant, I would have said I object, not I must protest.
Oh, my mistake.
As I was saying, I must protest to the notion that Resident Evil Village is less scary than 7. If anything, I would say they are equally as scary. I must have soiled myself at least 3 times while playing this game.
On the subject of that, why did I have to wash your underpants with my bare hands?
Shut up, Bertram! Now, dear viewer, the most frightening sequence in this game is something you would expect in a game like Silent Hill, not Resident Evil. I won't spoil it for you, but believe me when I say it is more disturbing than spending the night with Tim Burton.
Wasn't there, just one bed?
That's exactly my point, Bertram. You know, I was worried Mr. Burton would get Edward Scissorhandsy in the middle of the night. Yes. What was I even talking about? Oh yes. Resident Evil Village is scary. Full stop. Moving on. So, what else can I tell you? Oh yes. The inclusion of the typewriter to save your game is very much appreciated. I missed that in Resident Evil 7. In fact, I haven't missed a typewriter this much since I forced my own up Bertram's backside and had to wait 16 hours for it to be surgically removed. So, stopping the jokes for just a couple of seconds, and without spoiling the experience for you, let me just conclude this little review of mine by telling you that this is the best looking Resident Evil game to date. And once again, Capcom have created a game full of twists and turns, with fantastic boss fights and a killer story. I love this game. Oh yes, and Chris Redfield's in the game, so there's that. Therefore, I am going to score Resident Evil Village a 9 out of 10. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My review for Resident Evil Village. If you've enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, oh well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, bell button thingy. Share the video with everyone you know. But remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Say goodbye, Bertram.
Goodbye, Bertram.
Are you still here? Go away! I'm sure you've got something better to do with your time. No, seriously. Piss off. Be gone. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye. What in the hell is wrong with you? Go away! Vacate this space! Hit the cross at the top of the screen! The video is done! It's over! It's finito! It's caputo!